The problem is not your problem. Stay with me. The problem you see is not the problem you're facing. If you're always focused on your issues and you're always focused on the task at hand and you're not looking at the bigger picture, if you're always focused on the problems and the issues at hand that you can see and you're never looking at the bigger picture, you're never gonna find your true plan for life. You can't receive peace if you're expecting perfection. If you're always chasing the perfect lifestyle, the perfect clothes, the perfect body, the perfect grades, the perfect whatever, you're never gonna be able to see your peace because certain things just aren't meant for you at a certain time. And if you can't look at the whole picture and understand that your path is not dictated by this one single event, you're never gonna move on from where you are now, because the enemy of your peace is your expectation of perfection. It's not always gonna fit in. What you imagine, what you really want, or what you think you need in your head right now isn't gonna be what you need, and it's not gonna be what gets you to where you have to be. So if you want to live in peace and if you want to live in happiness, you have to surrender your expectation of perfection, because you're not always going to have those exact things. For example, Elle Woods was going to go into fashion, but there was this moment where when she got broken up by Alaric Saltzman, it kind of shifted her perspective. Her expectation of perfection was getting married and just being a housewife, and no one was expecting anything else from her. But that moment when she was broken up with in the restaurant and she had time to think for herself later on after that event, she was depressed. She was sad. She lost her expectation of perfection, right? She was expecting to get proposed to. She didn't get that, and her road was completely thrown off. And she was imagining this perfect life, but she didn't get that. But instead of focusing on the problem, she focused on a solution. She focused on what's going to get her through. And she surrendered her expectation of perfection. That's why she went to Harvard. She was chasing this man, but in reality, this road of getting accepted into Harvard and putting all this work in led her to her career and led her to peace, if you'd like to call it that. So everything is always working in your favor in the long run, because why would it not be? Why would God not intentionally set you up so that you can be your most successful self and you can find your highest version of yourself? Peace doesn't come directly from getting those things instantly. Think about it. If Elle would have gotten proposed to that night, she wouldn't have gone to Harvard. She wouldn't have gotten her degree. She wouldn't have gone down the path that she did, and she would have just ended up being what everyone else expected her to be, but that's not what happened. And I think there's a deeper message in that peace or happiness shouldn't come from things or events or people. It should come from you. It should come from God, and it shouldn't be taken away by people, events, or things. The reason you're missing peace isn't because, everything isn't perfect or everything isn't aligned to what you want it to be. You are missing peace because you're focused on the missing pieces. You're focused on the things that aren't aligned to what you want them to be, and that's why you can't continue from your path. You're focused on, okay, well, I really want to start my company, I really want to start my business, but there's this going on with my family, so let me wait until this issue with my family is resolved, and then I can move on and I can start my company. But there's never going to be a perfect moment. You're never going to have a window of time that is absolutely perfect for whatever you want to do. You just have to start, because there's always going to be something in the way. There's always going to be a roadblock. There's always going to be something happening, and you are always focused on those missing pieces, those things that aren't aligned to what you want them to be. You are lasered in on this idea, everything has to be perfect before I can start. Everything does not have to be perfect before you start. You can start right now and you can learn, and that's just going to reinforce you. You don't need to be focused on these missing pieces to find your peace, to find what makes you happy. If you wait for everything to be perfect, nothing will ever happen. So let's be grateful for the piece of peace that we have, because that's all we need. Because if you're always focused on those little things that aren't aligned with where your mind wants to be, you're never gonna evolve and you're never gonna take on new challenges, because you're always gonna be focused on the missing parts of your plan and your perfect image. There's this saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I think that is one of the most double-sided sayings ever, because of course you should always have a plan. You should always have something that will align your vision and keep you on track to where you want to go. But a plan shouldn't be on the basis that everything goes perfect. Another thing is, you shouldn't attach yourself to a specific situation. Recently, I was dealing with medical issues. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it was very traumatizing and it affected me on a very deep level. But as I went through, I understood I am not my condition, but I am in my condition. I am not my problem, but I am in my problem. And that's a mindset I think more people need to adopt. Because the only reason we keep worrying, the only reason we keep delaying and procrastinating is because we connect ourselves to the events. And we take those events and we make that our identity. And when you connect the event to the identity, you morph this perfect vision of, oh, okay, so I want to be a millionaire, but I'm broke. So I'm not going to start my company until I have some money. But you're never going to have money unless you start your company. So then I have to get a job, and you go around in circles trying to solve this problem when, in all honesty, you could just go guns a-blazing into the situation and you can learn so much. And failing will teach you every single time. There's people that have failed hundreds and hundreds of times, and they have pushed through and they have overcome these challenges. So challenges should not limit you, because you can have success even in your problems, even in your condition. The challenge does not limit you because you have success. Therefore, the challenge does not make you who you are. And the task at hand, your expectations, your daydreams of this perfect situation where you can control everything doesn't exist. And the sooner you let go of that, the sooner you can acknowledge that you are not your condition. You are in your condition, and you will get through your condition, and you will find your peace. The easiest way to separate yourself from what's going on right now in your life is to understand not everything's going to be perfect. That's okay. Not everything's going to be aligned to what you want. That's okay. And not everything is going to work out for you in this moment. And that's okay. Because if you have one piece of peace, you have all you need.